Welcome to Pipin' Hot, where the takes are hot and the boys are not. Today's take is
driving and cars in general are overrated.
What? The takes are hot. The boys are not. Welcome to Pipin' Hot on a very special Father's Day special.
Special
We got
episode,
my
baby.
dad on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Very exciting.
How do we start? What are we going to talk about today?
I mean, how much do you guys like even celebrate Father's Day all that much? Because we're having a special Father's Day episode. It's our first special episode.
This year is going to be the least celebrated ever because Casey is going back to Philly and Maggie is going on a little road trip with friends. So I don't know. Are you guys going
You could always
text
come
to
Philly
me?
if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I'll call you. I
think
Mom,
I think you'll be calling me.
but I called Mom for her birthday. No, I was here for her birthday, and I called her for Mother's Day.
So I think the celebration this year will be in absentia.
We tend to
largely.
do like garden-related activities every time, both for Mother's Day and Father's Day.
Well, for Father's Day, though, sometimes we do something active. Like we might go do something. So, and that will definitely happen this year because Mom was like, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to go hiking or kayaking or something.
The garden is active to me. That feels active to me.
Well, then we may be gardening.
So it's
no, I'd rather
garden-related
hike. I'd
activities.
rather hike
We
or
go
go
hiking
kayak.
a good amount.
Yeah.
There's a good amount of hiking spots in Maryland, so.
That's not unusual for Father's Day. What do you do?
Is there like
Cam?
is there a go-to hiking spot y'all have for Father's Day, or do you try like new places every time?
What's that one that you took me that one time when I was in like 8th grade? And
Oh, well,
has that,
that's-
like waterfall.
Yeah, that's over by Great Falls. That's the Billy Goat Trail on Great Falls. That's great. That's great.
We went
hiking.
there as a class too.
Yeah, we all went there for I think that was our 10th grade trip. That's a super fun trail. The Billy Goat,
yeah.
like a long. I think it's a super fun trail to go along.
There's also behind my elementary school. There's a trail, which is really weird.
Yeah, there's. Thanks to COVID, we've discovered all kinds of trails in the county, and they're actually pretty awesome.
And I'm not the biggest hiker, so
Mm-hmm.
I'll go. But it's not always my favorite activity. That's my gift for Father's Day.
That is his.
normally.
That's his
I'm
gift.
not
Are
a very
they-
good gift giver, so that's my gift. Is my time.
Are you more of a walker, Casey, than a hiker? You like the flat terrain, no backpack.
No, I actually like climbing. Like
Okay.
ones that are sort of like half hiking trails, half like you're just like scrambling up rocks. Like that's what I like.
Yeah.
I prefer that. I want like an objective, like just walking. I'll enjoy things. I like observing things, but I would much rather just like have a goal in mind.
It's more scrambling. It's not rock climbing.
No, rock
yeah,
climbing
why
I'm
not?
also bad at. I need a happy
Yeah.
medium. I need middle of the line.
You know.
What do you do, Cam? What are you gonna do for your
So
father?
my parents, they kind of consider it more like a Hallmark holiday. They're not big fans for whatever reason. We just never grew up celebrating it all that much. But since being in college, I've tried to kind of get them more on it. Like I've sent them like a gift or two, and then always try and give them a call if I can. So I'm trying to get them on it. This year, obviously, we have to do it remotely because I won't have time to go all the way back to Albuquerque with school and work right now. But yeah, usually, if the weather's nice, my dad likes to go on hikes, try to go to like a local soccer game if there's one, like USL type game. But they're honestly not big fans of it. It's kind of
Well,
odd.
let's
They're
not
the only people I know.
downplay the Hallmark aspect of it, though. My daughter now works at Hallmark.
Oh, okay.
And since you're at a distance, I think you should get a Hallmark card and send.
I
that.
think
So
I should.
let's-
I think it's a great
According
idea.
to her, don't get it at Hallmark because they're like $5. But if you go to the Dollar Tree, you can get like the ones that are out of print or out of run.
So get a Hallmark card, but not from Hallmark.
From Dollar
Can
Tree.
do. From Dollar Tree specifically. Okay, I can do that.
Let's
yeah.
assume that her boss is not listening to this. I think that's probably.
I think that's
I
a
think
safe
that's
assumption.
Probably a safe assumption.
I think that's a
I
safe
feel like
assumption.
It's unlikely.
I think our listeners are everyone who's present right now. So I think
Yeah,
we're pretty
correct.
safe. I think we're good.
We've
In the clear.
our
That's
5
good.
Listeners probably do not include. I don't know her name. I can't call her out by name. I have no idea what it is. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't.
Can I just say how much I like this earpiece? I feel like I'm in some kind of spy thriller or on set of something really major,
Do you
like
wanna
a.
get AirPods? It's been a pretty good. I didn't think I needed them. I was like, I'm cool with like the wire. I had like some like cheap Bluetooth ones for like when I was working out. They're really useful. I really like them.
I have wireless ones that tend to pop out of my ears a fair amount. Like
Yeah.
I got rid of the wireless because when I'm doing yard work or doing something, they catch on things and then they rip out of my ears, and that's really annoying. But now the ones I have, they don't seem to fit well enough. They fall out. So do these
These fit
fit
really
nicely?
well, I think, because they're just like Apple. And then there's the Pro ones, which I think look less comfortable in my opinion. But the only thing is that you'll lose them pretty frequently. Cam, I don't think I told you this when we were on Discord the other day. I lost it in my shirt, or I lost it in this. I was like talking to you guys, and I was like taking my sweatshirt off, and then I like could feel it coming out of my ear, so I was like doing it really carefully. And as I did it carefully, it like, slowly came out of my ear, and then like fell into my sweatshirt, and then I couldn't find it for like 20 minutes.
Well, I will absolutely lose them. That is definitely something I'm good at. I misplace things all the time, but I do like having this in my ear, so I feel like I'm coming to you from somewhere deep in the I don't even know where. Where might we be?
Thank you, Dan. We're gonna go right back to the desk.
It's time for the weather
We
report.
actually could put us wherever we want. Where do we want to go?
Well,
We can go wherever we want.
Yeah, let's travel. Since
Where do you want to travel first?
Let's go. What has really good? Well, because we're talking about public transportation today. What has really good public transportation? Like what?
anywhere but the United States, except for New York City, Washington D.C., and what? San Francisco? I don't know.
Maybe.
San
Yeah, that
Francisco,
sounds
I
right.
feel like is iconic. I don't know if it's effective. I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like I liked I was like talking about this with a few of my friends because I've been on a good amount of public transportations. I kind of like Chicago's.
Boston and Chicago.
Boston's not bad either.
Boston and Chicago. I mean, they're older, but they're totally effective. I think actually, and I think about it, Boston actually has an excellent. But New York really has.
Well, because DC's I didn't think was that great until relatively recently because they like really upped it.
Yeah.
They're
really
often
recently.
breaking down, and you have to wait a long time. But the ride itself is actually pretty nice.
Yeah, because also it's more money than any other public transportation I've been on. Like most of the times, my ride for like other places are like $2, $2.50, and then DC is like $5.
For me, it's always worth it. I love public transportation. I just don't like driving. I think it's a pain in the butt, which is ironic because anywhere I've ever lived requires a lot of driving.
Yeah.
I don't think cars are all that special. I'm just not at all a car person. It just gets me from point A to point B. So I'd rather live somewhere where I can walk and take public transportation.
All right, so we're moving right into the hot take because Cameron, you feel like this one's pretty contentious, don't you?
Well, I do a little bit because I solely, for two reasons. One, my job right now, I solely rely on public transportation. And I've grown kind of a hatred for public transportation out of it. And I also love to drive just like in general. Like I would love to just like go out on a drive if I had time. Like I just enjoy the feeling of driving. I feel like the one caveat to this is that as a 20-year-old, I've never had to like drive to a commute every day, like Monday through Friday. So like I've never had that experience of like every day being stuck in like morning traffic and evening traffic. But I don't really love public transportation.
But
If I had a
what
car,
about going for a drive though? Like how does that? When you say I just like going for a drive, what's
Yeah.
enjoyable about that?
oh, I love going fast. You can go fast. You can leave the windows down. You feel the air
love
going in your
breaking the
hair.
law.
I can break the law. I don't know. There's something.
Federal offense.
It's something you can listen. You can like blast music as you're going. You just got like if it's like warmer, like it is right now in the summer. You have the windows down. It's just like the air's ripping through the car. It's super fun. I enjoy it. I think it's pretty.
Yeah, I'll play moderator here because I feel like I'm in both camps. Like I really prefer, not that I prefer public transportation, but I prefer somewhere where you can walk everywhere. And so like I like being in a city because there's just like stuff to do and you can go anywhere you want and it's like easy to get to. But having now living in a city, when I come home, I like really enjoy like going out for a drive. I will say like the most peaceful I ever feel is like 11 o'clock midnight when like nobody's on the road and you can like you're not going like as fast as you can obviously like my car can go like 140.
Right.
So, like, I'm not
Neither of
gonna
us have like sporty
like,
cars,
you can
so
go, like relatively fast and like play like there was that one time I was driving back from UMD and I only played the slowed and reverbed versions of certain songs. Like
that's
that was
exactly
kind of
it.
peaceful. I kind of enjoyed that.
But see, I think this is an age thing because I'm not going to be out that late. I'm asleep, and if I were out that late and driving, I would possibly fall asleep. So just dangerous. See, it's lost its appeal if it ever had it. And everywhere I've ever lived is like suburbia for the most part, and you have to drive everywhere. And I went to school 8-9 hours away from where I grew up, and so that was a long drive. So I've not made an effort to live somewhere where I don't have to drive, which is ironic. I just don't see the appeal. Don't love it.
What about the aspect of not being with anyone else on your commute? Because every time I go to work or come home from work, I'm either in a bus with like 10, 15 other people or like in a metro car with like 20 to 30 other people.
Oh, I love people watching. I find that very entertaining.
Okay. But what about other people touching you? Because sometimes I feel like that's like kind of a grosser like public aspect that turns a lot of people off to public transportation, especially now with COVID, is it's like everyone's a lot looser with masks. So depending on how safe you feel, you know, these things are a lot more, there's just a lot more people close to you. Whereas in your car, it's probably just going to be you. Maybe you're carpooling with someone else.
Does DC require masks on the train now?
They always say it's federal law, but like it's never policed. Like no one's on the metros like making sure you're wearing your mask. Like people wear them in the station and then they get in the train and just like take it off.
SEPTA does a pretty good job about it. And I will say, that being said, though, we're talking about like DC and like good ones. The SEPTA in Philadelphia is the worst one I've ever been on by far because it only runs in 2 lines. It goes north, south, east, west. And the trains run like every 10 or 15 minutes. So you're waiting forever. And if you want to go like anywhere within like the 4 quadrants, you got to like get off and then take a bus because SEPTA is like all of the transportation. Like it's not just the train like it is for the metro. Or DC Metro doesn't have a bus line, does it? Or
They do.
Yeah. Has a bus
the
line.
DC Metro has a
but
bus
the DC
system
Metro
as well.
is like pretty extensive.
So
So,
yeah,
like-
it's got like 6 or 7 lines. So it's a little bit more than just like north, south,
Baltimore's
east,
probably
west.
worse than Philadelphia, though, because it's so bad you don't even really realize they have a metro
Well, that's
system.
like there's a
Yeah.
few places that are like that. Like LA is like that. Baltimore's like that.
Oh, yeah. When I was visiting a friend in L.A., and I said, well, I'll just take public transportation. He's like, no, you're not going to do that. I will come pick you up because there's no way to get to him from where I was.
Yeah. Well, okay. So how do you feel about? I don't know how often you've taken them because Cam and I do them all the time because we have to. But like the addition of like Uber and Lyft. And
I think that's a game changer.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. It's another form
So
of
would you rather be a passenger than a driver?
definitely.
Okay.
I definitely prefer that, but I'm always the one driving. Everywhere we go, if we take a long trip, I'm the driver.
See, I kind of like driving. We're driving to Philly today. I'll drive.
Then you're on.
Okay, cool. I like longer drives, especially the drive to Philly from here is like half of it is like a 2-lane, and you're just driving for like 50 miles straight. And I really enjoy those like long stretches.
Well, the thing that's changed for me is being able to listen to podcasts
Yeah.
and listen to books on audio. That makes the difference for me because then I can actually say, oh, well, this is going to be this long a drive. I can get through, this many podcasts or this much of a book. So that's made a difference for me. And I guess the whole crowded jostling of people when you live in a city, and certainly when I have been overseas, like a place like Japan, and it's just so many people, I think you just get used to it.
Yeah.
That doesn't even really faze me, being jostled by a big group of people in a crowded train station or something. Yeah.
Yeah. What public transportation do you like outside of the country that you've been in?
Every transport. I mean, in Europe, they've got trains everywhere. And what's interesting about that is then you sit in cars of 3 or 4 a seat across from people. And so either you engage in conversation or you don't. So that's always interesting. But Japan has a really efficient train system, and their high-speed train, that's what we need in this country. We need a high-speed train.
God.
That'd be so cool.
I feel like it was like a couple years ago that Elon Musk like tweeted and was like, I'm going to make a high-speed train for like the East Coast. It was like from Atlanta to Boston or something, and you could get from Atlanta to Boston in like 4 hours, and it was like it would hit like DC, Baltimore, Philly, like all the big like metropolitan cities.
Can you imagine what a difference that would make? I mean, we have family in Atlanta. We had family up north. That would make such a huge difference. And going to New York, I mean, we'll do it in 4 hours, but if you can be there in 2 or less, that'd be amazing.
Well, it was like you could get from DC to New York in like 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
30 minutes to an hour.
Oh,
I
that
think
would
was the
yeah.
proposal.
That
That'd be
would
game
make a
changing.
huge difference.
Which begs the
Just too
question, like,
focused on Dogecoin or whatever.
what did we get so wrong? Because we have like MARC trains, we have Amtrak, so it's like we clearly have like some kind of infrastructure for like mass transportation with trains and stuff, but it seems to be so much slower and ineffective than like the underground. Well, I guess the underground's more like a metro in England, but all these European countries and Asian countries that have.
Right?
There's a good system there is the London Underground. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's all because in the 50s when Eisenhower was president, he looked at the train systems around the world and was concerned that if we had, because we had trains, he was concerned that if we were ever attacked, as in World War II, that you just bomb out the trains and you can shut down the transportation pretty quickly and transfer of supplies. So he embarked on an international road system, which is our interstate highways. We didn't have interstate highways the way we do prior to that. And that gave birth to, or, allowed the car industry to blossom. And so we went that route as a, sorry, pun intended, I guess. So we now have cars and highways, very efficient system there, but we don't have the rail system. So that was deliberate, or at least the car side of it was deliberate. And I think it just maybe unintended consequences kind of killed the rail system. That's my understanding of what happened. I may not have all my facts right, but that's my understanding of what happened. So I think it sucks.
And that, folks, is a dad fact.
Dad fact number
In honor
one.
of the first dad fact on the first dad pod, Cam, I think you should eat a little bit of the pepper.
I can eat a little bit of
And
the pepper.
Eat a little bit of the pepper and tell us where. Because if we're talking about like transportation in other countries, I don't think you and I have ever talked about like where would you what's your dream vacation? Where would you want to go?
Dream vacation. All right, let me get a crunch of this boy first.
Yeah, we
for the
gotta
fans
get a
at
good
home, I don't know if you can
That
see.
is a good size jalapeno.
Pretty
Yeah, we
sizable
have some big
Whole
peppers.
Foods
That is a
pepper
very
here.
big jalapeno.
Let me try and get a good crunch from the microphone. So I'm gonna lean forward towards the mic a little bit.
There it is.
That had a good crunch to it.
That was pretty good.
That's why people listen to the. There's no other reason to listen to the podcast. Like we just run our mouths and then people wait for the big like crunch.
I think I
That
want
was
to go
impressive.
I think I'd want to go to Spain, if anywhere. We studied it all the time in class when I was taking Spanish in school, and I never really was good at the language, but I feel like if there ever was a language to pick up, I'd want it to be Spanish. And so going to that country, doing the like I can't blank on the name, but there's like a very famous trail that like crosses the entire country, and like it hits a bunch of like famous churches in Spain.
The El Camino.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to hit that at some point as a dream destination. Oh my god.
How is it? Is this one spicy? How are you doing?
This one was kind of like a punch in the face at first, but it's like it's settling down pretty fast. Like all the other ones we've done, or I've had with these Whole Foods peppers, has been like not bad at first, and then it's like builds up until it's just like kind of this like hot ball of fire in my throat. But this one was quick with it. Like I feel like it just kind of hit me, and it's already kind of gone.
Have you eaten anything today? Because I haven't. So this.
I
pepper's
did.
going
I
on
did.
it.
I did eat breakfast, and I got Starbucks before we started this episode, so I did have something.
I like
so it
how
wasn't too
nonchalant
bad.
you were.
Hey Cam,
Hey, Casey.
do you know what I hate?
No, what do you hate?
I hate when ads just start in the middle of a podcast and there's no segue into the ad.
It's the worst part of a podcast.
That being said, I do want to shout out our sponsor today, which is
Who's the sponsor?
actually this podcast.
We at the Pipe and Hot Pod would like to ask our listeners to do us a huge favor, and that is to like or subscribe or review this podcast to help us grow. The more engagement we have, the more growth we have, the better this show will be, and the more fun we're going to have recording it and giving it to you lovely people. It does us a huge favor, and all it takes is one click of a button. So please, if you really are enjoying this episode, we'd really appreciate it if you left a like and enjoy the rest of this episode.
If you enjoy the episode, boosting the engagement in some way or another helps us to spread the podcast around to people who wouldn't get to listen to it otherwise.
And if you're watching the video at home, leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel also helps us grow and bring better content to you folks at home. But more importantly, it allows us to have more fun here in the studio.
And most importantly, it really helps to feed our ego.
Yeah, my God complex is not quite godly enough yet. So help me boost my own God complex. Subscribe, like,
I'm at God-ish.
follow, share with your grandma.
I don't think people's grandmas would like this podcast.
If there's a grandma out there who likes this pod, let us know, because they got to be the only one.
Yeah, shout out all the grilfs out there.
More engagement, better content, piping hot.
You're learning Spanish. You want to give us a
Well-
little bit of Spanish on the podcast?
No.
Okay.
So
I mean, technically that.
I mean,
was-
technically.
So first of all, I just want to say how impressed I was that you were just very nonchalant that jalapeno is just like a punch in the face. Like you just said it's just sort of like a punch in the face, as if that's something that happens all the time. But no, I've been trying to learn Spanish on Duolingo, which when I'm doing it, I think, wow, I'm really getting this. And then yesterday, our midshipman, we sponsor a midshipman from the Naval Academy. She's fluent in Spanish, and we had my daughter, Casey's sisters, godparents over, and they are fluent in Spanish. And the three of them were talking, and that's when I realized I have no clue. I am not understanding this language at all. So, but I'm right there with you. I would love to go to Spain. We actually considered going to the El Camino this fall with family, but just weren't ready for that. We'll have to try that another time. But I would love to go to. Really, there's very few places in the world I wouldn't want to go.
Yeah.
But I'll join you to Spain. I'll do that.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
it'd be a
cool.
blast.
I specifically want to go to Andorra because we have like super
Yes.
cousins in Andorra, and it's a fun little like. I feel like it's a fun little like geographic flex because a lot of people don't know what it is because it's so tiny.
It's such a flex that you probably will tell people and say, "Yeah, I've been to Andorra," and they go, "What?"
No, I mean like it's a geographic flex to say that you know what Andorra is.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
if
people
you
don't
said
know
it to
what
somebody like,
is.
"I went to Andorra," they'd all be like, "That
Exactly.
What city is that?"
Talking about languages, it would be cool to grow up in Andorra because you by the time you're 18, you know like 4 languages.
That's true of so many
'Cause it's
places
like-
in the world.
Yeah,
though.
but specifically Andorra is like you automatically learn Catalan because that's what they speak, and then you're right next to Spain and France, so you have to learn French and Spanish, and then you just kind of everyone learns English at this point. So like by
There
the
you
time
go.
you're 18, like you're virtually fluent in 4 languages.
I think we should move to Andorra and just naturally pick up 4 languages. We already have 1 under our belt, so we'd only need 3 more.
Yeah, and language is not my strong suit, so I think I have to live somewhere to get a language. I would love to like actually learn to like put in the effort because I feel like in school I like didn't put in the effort because it was just not one of the classes I liked. But I feel like I would actually like Spanish is gonna be if I'm moving to California, like that's gonna be very useful. So I would love to learn Spanish.
Well, I'm with Cam though, and it's immersion though. If you go
Yeah.
there, it's so hard not to start picking things up. But when you're not there and you're not hearing it all the time, that's so much more challenging. That's my problem. I'm trying it on Duolingo. I'm not conversing with other people. I'm not really listening to on a regular basis. So I only think I'm getting it until I actually try it, and then I just mangle it.
Did you retain any Spanish?
Not a lot. Like I can recognize like vocab words. So like a lot of like obviously a lot of signage around here has like secondary language in Spanish. Especially like around UMD, there's a lot of like Hispanic communities. So there's a lot of Spanish writing, and I can like pick up a couple of words that I remember. But again, like I was never great with learning languages. My brother can pick them up super fast.
Really?
Like my dad and my brother both picked up German in like a few months before we went there when I was really little. So they can speak it okay. My brother took Latin throughout all of high school, never had a problem with it. So like they're very good with language, but me and my mom have always it's kind of struggled with it. We joke that we struggle to speak our own language as it is. So I would love to actually kind of be challenged and be in a situation where you have to use the language you're using, because taking it in high school, it's like you're just trying to learn a language for a grade, and so you do the bare minimum to like memorize some vocab and like the preterite tense of verbs, but then it's like you never use that in a real situation, so it's kind of just wasted, and I really don't remember much of it at this point.
I think half the battle is being willing to look stupid. Since when we went to France, your mother had studied French in high school, so she still knew a little bit of the language. Both you and your sister studied in school. I had never studied any of it. I tried to learn a little bit before we went, and I was the only one willing to make a fool of myself and try to speak in French. Nobody else was willing to do it. So
It's a leap
That's
of
true.
faith.
I didn't want to be the stupid American. Although I was in like
I was
7th
perfectly
grade.
willing to be the stupid American.
But
I'm going
the
to own
stupid
this.
American.
I'm going to own it.
We learned a little bit of Thai when I went to Thailand. That was fun.
Oh, that's cool.
I liked that one. Because also, like, I feel like it's one thing. I feel like I would be able to pick up Spanish a little bit easier because, like, I did learn French, so I kind of know, like, some of the Romance basics. But the whole thing about, like, different Asian languages, it's a whole new alphabet. So, like, that's just hard to even pick up at all.
Oh, that's definitely what I found in Japan. I tried to study enough of the language to be able to ask for, at restaurants, order and that type of thing, but I really did not pick enough up of reading, so that was very challenging.
I feel like it's so much easier now too to just traverse the world with English. Like everyone just kind of like somebody's gonna know English, so like there's no real like necessity to learn any other language.
That's true, but one that's not particularly respectful of the culture. You're not even making an effort. But the flip side of that is once you leave the major cities, and even sometimes in the major cities, that's not always true. I mean, the more rural I got, and then when you talk about signage, and you're in a rural area, kind of like what you're saying at University of Maryland, if you're in a big city, you might get English. So like at the airport, definitely you're going to have English with the Japanese and maybe in Tokyo. But then once you get into more rural areas, they're not going to have English with it.
No, I agree. I don't think it's appropriate. I just think it's like easier to, like you don't have to.
Oh, we're
anymore.
fortunate. Definitely.
Because I think a lot of times people are going to travel to the big cities anyway.
Yeah, true
So
enough.
they're probably going to go places where you can speak English.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're pretty fortunate that way.
I've got a bit of a question for you guys. I want both you to answer while eating the jalapeno because my family has a stance on this a little bit. But when you go to like a foreign restaurant here in America, like you go to a Mexican restaurant, for example, where is the line of appropriateness between speaking Spanish to the people that work there?
The first line for me.
Pepper to do it, right?
Oh, we have to eat
While
first?
eating, yeah.
We
Yep.
haven't. Wait a minute. We haven't even answered. What if it's a great
Yeah, I
answer?
gotta do while eating the pepper. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't understand the rules here. Okay.
All right, ready?
All right. Here we go.
Ooh.
Oh, that was a weak bite. And
Yeah.
This shit is hot. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was a weak bite intentionally because I could just see where that was going. Yeah, that one definitely hot. Definitely hot. No, I think the line for me is there's a place near us that they don't speak English at all.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a Mexican taqueria that is part of the gas station, the Exxon gas station.
Okay. Yeah.
And
There it is.
yeah, that's what I was trying to avoid. I have the same problem.
This is the tradition of the podcast.
Okay. You'll do the hiccups this time. Maybe I'll do it next time. I don't need the hiccups.
All right.
Do you have any like water or anything, or are you just going through it?
We got some milk.
Oh, okay.
There you are.
Came prepared this
Milk.
time.
Last time the oat milk didn't work. I could never go on hot ones. I would die.
No.
Yeah, I would die too.
No, that's too much. I mean, we're eating like what the first wing is the equivalency of a jalapeno. Like,
I think now it's upped probably. Like
Yeah.
they used to have the first wing be like sriracha. Like fine. But yeah, now I think it's like significantly hotter.
Yeah, so this is probably a minus something
All right, thank you, sir.
on that one.
oh yeah.
No, I think here's my opinion. If you go to say like a Mexican restaurant or something and you see other people around you speaking Spanish, I think you could ask. Like you could say, I'm trying to learn Spanish or I'm learning Spanish. Can I practice my Spanish or I need to practice? And they'll probably be like, yeah, cool. Until you get to a point that you can, then they'll just probably break into English and go, okay, nice try. That was fine.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't just go in and start speaking Spanish.
Right.
I think because then even if I sounded like I knew what I was doing and then they responded and I looked like a deer caught in headlight, I think I'd give them at least a heads up. Hey, I'm learning Spanish. Can I try it? You know?
Definitely.
I think a lot of white people too go in with an air of like, I'm speaking your language. Look at me. You know, like
Yeah,
that's how it is.
100%.
It's like I'm doing this for your benefit, and like no Spanish speaking person wants like a broken Spanish to be like ah ha ha. So like I think it's like you don't go into it with like this unfounded confidence. But yeah, if you want to be like, hey, I'm learning Spanish, or if you know Spanish, like great, like go ahead and do it.
Oh yeah, like Uncle
Yeah,
Carlos, he's just going to go
definitely.
in and just start speaking Spanish. He's fluent, so he's a native speaker. Why not?
Like, I mean, like if you just want to be like hola or like gracias, like just to like say it,
Yeah.
like because I don't know, that feels appropriate, that feels fine, but like don't make an effort if you have no idea what you're talking about.
It's like when we were, I was probably 12 or 13. My dad and I took a trip up to Canada. We were in Quebec and Montreal and other French-speaking areas. And you walk into a shop and they immediately greet you in French. And so then my dad would respond in French, and then they would just automatically switch to English because they're like, clearly this is not your native tongue. We'll just switch to English for you.
Yeah. Because I feel like that's such a
couple times.
Yeah.
I feel that's such a big thing too, is how you are like greeted. Like if you go to a restaurant and like the waitress or the waiter or the host speaks to you in English, then it's like you shouldn't presume to just start speaking Spanish because you're at, you know what I mean? Like that feels kind of wrong just to make that assumption. Be like, well, I'm gonna try and help you out and start speaking Spanish now.
Yeah.
I've
I
always
used to
thought
love when
that was a
people-
weird middle ground of very non-Spanish speaking families going into Mexican restaurants and trying their hardest to order tacos in Spanish. I don't know. It always rubbed me the wrong way a little.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. When I went to Japan my senior year of college, and when I first got back and went to a Japanese restaurant, if the people who worked there were Japanese and they would clearly greet you in Japanese, then I might try to speak a little bit. But over the years, I found sushi has just become so popular. Many of the restaurants are not run by Japanese. So you don't want to just launch into you're speaking Japanese and they're Korean or Thai or something like that. So
Definitely.
Yeah, half the time they're not even. Yeah, you just work at a restaurant. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
went to an Irish restaurant. I don't speak Gaelic. Like, it's like that's not. Or they might be that ethnicity, but if they're raised in the United States, their entire life, they might not know it. You know, like.
Which, by the way, Irish sounds like Klingon to me.
Yeah, Gaelic is crazy. One of my friend's roommates is very Irish, and I think she speaks a little bit of it. Which I found out that the name Neve is spelled Niamh. That's the Irish spelling of Neve.
Neve
Yeah,
with
Okay.
an MH. Yeah.
which is kind of.
Huh.
I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of funny.
Never would have thought.
And we're also not allowed to watch Love Island in her presence because she hates the British. She hates the English, so we just because she's obsessed with The Bachelor. So I've gone over to their place to watch The Bachelor, and I'm like, we should watch Love Island because I think I like Love Island a little bit better. And she's like, absolutely not. And I'm like, what about the Australian version? She's like, we can do the Australian version. That's fine.
Yeah. They didn't destroy our country.
Yeah. Well, speaking of other, can we try to figure out like a really good segue to move into this? I think we can. We're talking about Spanish.
Yeah.
And there's a specific soccer team that speaks Spanish that played the U.S. team. Did this?
Oh yeah. So the U.S. just played Mexico in the Nations League final game, and for the first time ever, I think I need to look up the exact detail of what this like historic thing was. But for the first time ever, the U.S. beat Mexico in a final for a major tournament, like in regular time, I think, or not in penalties, I should say.
That was a regular time.
It was extra time, but it was like in the run of play, the U.S. managed to beat Mexico. And we looked like pretty good for the pieces I was watching. I was admittedly doing homework during the game, unfortunately, so I couldn't watch all of it in its entirety.
We were watching the Floyd fight prior.
We did watch Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fight each other, or hug each
Which was
other for 24 minutes.
Disappointing first fight to watch.
Very poor spectacle, to be honest, but they made up for it with the wonderful U.S. game. The final 10 minutes were pretty crazy.
And it was fun to watch it in Spanish, and the Univision commentators were getting upset. Like you could tell.
They're just so much like I don't understand. Like when I think of sports commentators, I think of like American sport, like football commentators, like baseball commentators. Like I feel like we changed the game with the way that sports commentators, what they do and how they interact with the audience. But we have such terrible soccer commentators in this country. Like for whatever reason, whether it's soccer analysts or older players who have now transitioned into like more professional commentating positions, they're just all pretty bad at it. So I always enjoy watching soccer games on like the like Telemundo stations because those commentators are so much more fun to listen to and interact with, even if they are partial to, you know, the Mexican team when we're playing them as a US. Like they're just so much more entertaining.
Well, it seems like when it's in English, there tends to be the play-by-play person is British, and then the commentator is American. And so if you have play-by-play British, they're just very understated. Like, oh, and then it goes to Pulisic, and then over to Reina, and nice ball there. Oh, not a nice ball. Like it's just really just very mellow in the way they deliver. So it's completely different style. But of course, I thought this was Father's Day. You have to rub it in. I didn't get to see the Mexico game. I completely forgot to tape it, which drove me crazy.
Oh man,
and I had to watch 5 minutes of highlights, and I was.
It was a good game.
And then the highlights said probably one of the best Mexico-U.S. games ever in the history.
To be fair, though, we didn't watch we just watched the extra time, and the extra time was definitely exciting. Like, it was good, but I feel like the fact that it was 2-2 at the end of regulation was also an indicator that the regulation was good.
I don't know how I completely spaced it. I ended up taping the Costa Rica game, which was 3 days later.
Yeah, but we looked.
That was a good game,
too.
too.
Well, it was
from what I
4-0,
heard.
but it was an inconsequential game. It's not the same as Mexico in a final.
I think
Yeah.
the men's team looks better than I've ever seen them.
This is the best team we've had set, like, debatably ever if the young players on our team reach their potential. Because, like, in the
They
past,
have
we've
so
always
much
had, like,
talent.
we've always had one good player on the team. Like, we've had
Yeah.
Landon Donovan lead the line, and then when
half
he
the time
grew
it's
up,
the
then we
goalie.
had Dempsey kind of coming through the ranks. But we've never had the sheer amount of talent we have this year of, like, there's, like, 5 or 6 players who are, like, around 20 years old who all have the potential to be, like, star players in Europe. Like, we've never had that type of talent. And it is kind of telling that, like, this is the first time we've had so much of our team playing abroad that it's like,
Right.
it's unfortunate that the only way we could have a good national team is to send our players to foreign countries to play better soccer elsewhere. But it is
That's
very
true,
exciting
really,
that we
for
have.
many teams, though. For many, I think, look at all of South America. They all aspire to play in Europe.
Yeah,
So I
definitely.
think for me, the big difference is their youth and the quality of the teams that they're on. So we have definitely in years past had a lot of players in Europe, but they're not playing. I mean, we've got Juventus, Barcelona, Chelsea, Man
Right.
City,
That's a great point.
Borussia Dortmund. I mean, the quality of where they're playing and the fact that they're so young, you would hope once they start to learn to play with each other, my gosh, they could be. It's like star-studded potentially.
It's really exciting.
If they can actually,
If
learn
they
to play
reach their
together.
potential.
Yeah, exactly.
I also feel like we have a good, like, this is the first time in a while I felt good about who our coach was. Because every time we got to a major tournament with Klinsmann as the manager, it was always kind of like, we have something to work with here, but he never seemed to put the puzzle pieces in the right place. But, like, now we're kind of seeing that, like, I think his name's Berhalter, I think, right? Greg Berhalter as our head coach. Like, he's willing to play players. I don't know. There's just something about, like, the teams he used and, like, his willingness to change, like, veterans for youth players in important matches. Like, his decision to put on that, like, 19-year-old goalkeeper in the final against Mexico because he's a PK specialist. Like, I feel like Klinsmann would have been much more reserved and been like, there's no reason to substitute your goalkeeper if he's healthy. But I feel like Greg Berhalter's a little bit more willing to make the least typical change. And I think that's good for a team that's full of youth players with a lot of potential, but also a few, like, veterans to kind of help them out. I'm excited.
I hope you're right. I don't really know what's been the issue with coaching in the past. I mean, the best coach we really seem to have had was Bruce Arena. He was an American, whereas the other coaches that we've brought in, I don't know why their approach would not work for the United States. It just doesn't seem to. They'll bring in a philosophy. I thought initially Klinsmann was going to be great because his attitude was Americans have a swagger around the world, so your soccer should look the same way, and you should have an attacking style, and it just didn't work.
Yeah,
So,
it did. It was unfortunate.
I don't know what was going on there. So yeah, I'm hopeful. Fingers crossed.
Fingers
A lot of
crossed.
soccer going on now. Euro, Copa, and then the qualifying starts soon. So
Yeah, it's going to be a busy
I'm
summer.
kind of, I don't know. As much as like I want the U.S. to do really well in like the Copa and potentially the World Cup, like I may or may not be rooting for Argentina because I do kind of want Messi to get like a national title.
Hey, Casey.
Hey Cam,
You know what I just love?
what do you love?
I love shouting out our friends and family for their creative endeavors.
You know, me too. That's why we want to introduce this segment that we get to shout out whatever our friends are doing creatively and whatever they're putting out, what kind of content they're putting out.
So, what are our friends and family doing this week, Casey?
Well, we thought the perfect episode to introduce this new segment would be my dad's episode because, just like our podcast, my dad just so happens to have a podcast.
What? No way.
His podcast is called Redefine You. It's through AACC, the Anne Arundel Community College. And he gets to interview a plethora of guests, whether it be professors or students, on various topics. He's really interested in life coaching. He just got trained in life coaching. So this podcast kind of focuses on that. It focuses on a lot of like facets of life coaching and experiences that people are going through what knowledge they might have. It's a whole different topic every episode. It's very, very fun. You get to hear my dad's buttery voice interviewing the guest. It's always entertaining. He's always got great questions. And honestly, like, I really enjoy listening to it, like, even if it wasn't my dad. I think it's really fun.
Absolutely. Casey, this was a blast. Shouting out what our friends and families are doing creatively. If you have any friends or family doing something creative that you would like to share with the world, please hit us up. We'd love to have them on this segment, this brand new segment on the pod.
Yeah, what should we call this segment?
We're calling this
Cam and Casey's Creative Corner.
Cam and Casey's Creative Corner, where we showcase the creative endeavors of our friends and family.
Thank you for listening. Back to the pod.
Back to the pod.
Yeah, I want Messi to win a national title. I think he deserves it, and this is probably his last chance. Like, he's pretty old now.
Oh, I would think it would be his last chance for sure. I would love to see him. I makes me wonder if he's even going to be a starter, but he is Messi. So
He is Messi. As long as he's playing the game, I feel like he's got to start. I mean, it's crazy that he's already he's 33 right now, and he's still carrying this Barcelona team to great heights. Like, it's pretty incredible what he's been able to do.
Yeah,
But
he'll be
I
out
would
with a
love to see
walker
him.
out on the field, and they're like, nope, you can use that walker. That's okay.
Yeah.
you can come out here.
Well,
That's fine.
he'll be using a walker and playing in the MLS is what's going to happen.
Yeah. He'll be playing striker for DC United with a whole walker.
right.
Like, just
I was rewatching that one clip of Wayne Rooney where he like runs all the way to midfield and then has like a bullet of a pass. Like, watching these stars play in the US just shows like the quality difference of play.
It's pretty huge. Even actually before the current players, there was a game, I can't remember, but Pulisic was really just the star, and his pace was he was so fast that the rest of the team just couldn't keep up with him. And he would pass it, and you knew who he wanted it to go to, but they didn't even realize that, it might come to me. I think they were just caught watching him.
Yeah.
yeah, they were so starstruck.
And now he doesn't look like the best on the team. Like, he is
No.
one of the best.
He is.
But he doesn't look like he is the front runner for the best.
No, I'm kind of blown away by Reyna because I remember his dad. His dad was stellar, and this kid, he's 18. He just looks so phenomenal. Weston McKennie, when he first was playing, I thought, why is he such a hot shot? But he's with Juventus, and oh gosh, he's
a
incredible.
crazy talent. I mean, the fact that he starts, because that's the thing with all these players is like Pulisic technically is a bench player for Chelsea. He usually gets subbed in
now.
the 70th minute just to torch the other team for 20 minutes at the end. Gio Reyna for Dortmund is like very good, but they have Jadon Sancho, so he kind of gets demoted to like a backup on the wing. But Weston McKennie is a starting central midfielder for Juventus, who is known as having like the best midfielders in the world at all times. Like, that's where Pogba came from. They've had Pirlo in the past. Like, that's kind of like the hub for midfielders, and an American is starting in that midfield. Like, it's kind of exciting to see that. Like,
It's extremely.
we don't just
exciting.
have like
Plus he's
bench
playing with
warmers.
Ronaldo.
Yeah.
And so Ronaldo's going to be like, I want the ball this way, and I want it here, and I want you to do this. So if he can learn to do it,
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. I'm so excited.
So what's the can you give us the rundown of like when the US will know if we've made it to the World Cup? Like, how's the qualifying work?
So FIFA's introduced this new Nations League. They decided that they weren't making enough money with just the World Cup. So they introduced a new league system for World Cup qualifying. And there's like various divisions to it. There's various kind of systems for how you can gain entrance to the World Cup now, I believe. But I think winning the Nations League final against Mexico like allowed us to move into the next stage of qualifying. And so now after we play the Gold Cup, we enter like true qualification games where it's like we'll be playing teams like Trinidad and Tobago and Canada and like a bunch of these Central American teams in the CONCACAF conference until eventually only like 3 teams I think will be qualified for the World Cup. So I don't know the details of how that's changed. Like, it's kind of a league system now instead of just like a round robin tournament. But I think we'll end up knowing like this fall and winter is when they do it, because the international break is typically the first week of October, sometimes late September as well. So that's kind of when the majority of these matches are held.
I was really hopeful that you were going to say that since they introduced the Nations League and they beat Mexico in the final, they're in.
Yeah,
Hey, I wish.
That's what I kinda thought.
I'm like, waiting, what? We're in? No.
But if we had lost, we would still have had a chance, right? Mexico. Still
We
has a chance
would
to
have.
win it.
I think there's something about like the seeding where it's like because we won, we're probably going to play worse teams in qualifying, so our
Sure.
path is significantly easier now. But because we play in the CONCACAF, it's like there's only like two good
yeah.
teams and other than the US, and so it doesn't really mean too much for us. But I think it's a lot bigger of a deal in Europe where it's like if you win that division, you know, you go from qualifying against France to qualifying against like Kosovo. Like it's a huge difference in other conferences around the world. So I think it looks
Yeah, I
good
was
for us.
watching-
We got a trophy out of it. It's definitely gonna like boost our
It looks
morale.
great for
But
us. And yeah, it was such an exciting game. Like that I think was a great step for U.S.
Yeah.
soccer, men's soccer.
Oh, I think it's exciting. I was watching some of the Euros and watching some of Italy's game, and I was reminded like they didn't make the last World Cup.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you know, the U.S. got slammed for not making the World Cup, as they should, because in CONCACAF
We
it should
deserved
be a
it.
cakewalk.
Yeah, 'cause
But-
we got beat by Tobago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tobago.
It should be a cakewalk for them in CONCACAF. But Italy didn't make it
no.
60 years in a row, you know, and then so.
And this year it's winter of 22, right? Like
Yes, because it's being held in Qatar, which we could talk about for a while, but there's a lot
Are we
to
trying to
pick
get
apart
political
there.
on the pod? we gotta stay PC on the pod. We don't want FIFA to
But
sue us.
we're not trying to get
We don't
canceled.
want the country of Qatar to sue us.
But yes, it's being held in the winter. But even it's still going to be like 80 degrees there in the winter. Just given that it's in, you know, the Middle East, but I think during the summer it can be like 110, 120. And like they already showed it, like the Brazil World Cup in 2014 really should have been held in the winter as well. Like,
Really?
I like the fact that
Yeah.
they introduced water breaks. Like, that's fun and it keeps the players safe. But it's like, if you have to introduce water breaks, it's probably too hot to be playing soccer
Yeah.
at that time. So,
When are they coming
we'll
to the
see.
U.S.?
That's 28.
That's
right?
That's 26. We're joint bidding with Mexico, I believe, because we're trying to usurp whoever has it right now. I forget who has the claim right now.
Well, because it's the
but-
second. I thought they made it official. I thought it was official.
I'm so rusty on this. There's someone who like is in line or in pole position to get the next World Cup, but there's again kind of like corruption issues and human rights issues involved. So the US is kind of joint bidding with Mexico to kind of like undercut them and say, look, we don't have all these issues and we're in a better place to like host this kind of mega event. So I think right now it's unofficial who's hosting right now because everyone's focused on the 2022 World Cup. But I think the US
I don't
is trying
understand
to
that.
get it.
If there's still corruption issues, the U.S. should be able to out corrupt anybody. I mean, we're a very wealthy nation. We should
Right.
be able to grease whatever palm is necessary. I mean, if there's going to be corruption issues, we should be able to win that hands down. I don't get it.
I think our problem is the
It's supposed to be,
FBI.
like, joint with like Canada, Mexico, U.S.
Yeah, I think the
26.
I think
We
the
should
FBI
just pull
took the
resources and say,
lead.
who do we need to pay? If that's the rule, if that's how it's done. It worked for Russia.
We already got the Olympics in 28. I would assume
We got-
that
yeah.
they can like build some joint stadiums like Brazil did.
Well, that's the thing is the U.S. already has the
Smart.
infrastructure. Every other country around the
Absolutely.
world has to build infrastructure for these games. We just
And
use
if we
NFL
just added
stadiums.
high-speed
like-
trains into the infrastructure,
It's a great point.
there you look at that.
Good full circle.
I'm
Okay.
I'm
Fantastic.
trying to bring us back.
job.
Yeah, not bad. Huh?
Professional.
That's pretty good. That's just shows professional podcaster.
You know, this is a shameless plug. This
Yeah,
is,
we got a shameless.
Yeah,
plug
we
on
got
that.
it.
this was
We're past the ad break. People know about it.
it's just right there. I'm just, you know,
All right, so I want to do some rapid fire dad facts for the end of the episode.
what if I don't have any facts to spawn?
Well, we'll give you some prompts.
Casey, I think you
What if I
gotta.
know
I
the
think you gotta
answer?
eat a pepper though before you start asking all these rapid fire dad facts. I think you gotta.
Oh,
We're running. We
also
gotta.
the camera died.
We
I was
got.
gonna say, what happened?
This is what always happens in every episode.
Now it's
I
just me.
have Yet to
Hello,
figure out
everybody.
the filming requirements of this. Let's see. Can we fix it? Can we figure out what's going on?
Yeah, we got it.
The segue says, and now we're going solely to audio.
It is going solely to audio
Here is
because
a
we are not able to.
Here's a photo of my dog.
Well, now I got to put a photo of our dog.
For all the
Now
viewers at
it's
home,
a photo
hello.
of the
It's
dog.
just me on screen now.
It's Cameron on the pod.
Cameron on
I'll
one
put the
side
picture,
and Mac and Daisy on the other.
And All right, because Cameron wanted to know this. Okay, I'm gonna do a smaller bite because nobody can see how big I'm biting.
But I don't have to, or I do.
Cameron just said me. 'Cause
I think we'll just do Casey now. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. I got off easy.
Okay. So, Cameron was curious. What are your best grilling tips?
My best grilling tips. I'm gonna just out of camaraderie here. I'm gonna. Have
Oh yeah.
That's love. That's
Fantastic.
really love.
that's what being dad is all about. I think you have to make sure that the meat is well seasoned. So you need to marinate it well in advance, or put plenty of oil. That to me is the key. Is to make sure it's well marinated. Oh, I got a little bit of hiccup there. And then you need to have the proper ratio of spices.
You do have milk.
That's
you
the
have
key.
A savior.
Going for the milk.
Spices, marinate. What about the proper footwear?
That is always important no matter what you do, proper footwear. I will say one other thing. I've learned about indirect grilling, indirect heat, particularly when you're doing ribs. And that's awesome. If you have, in our case, we have a 3-burner gas grill, and you just fire it up, and then you turn off the middle, and then just work on the indirect heat. It's really effective.
So not only proper footwear, but what is the proper footwear?
Well, I'm a Merrill or Keen kind of person. So in the summertime, that's my what I would consider proper footwear. I would not advise flip-flops. I'm anti flip-flops. I don't like
that was
them.
Another hot take that we could have done. Anti flip-flops.
Yeah.
I'm just not a flip-flop guy. So
I'm not anti flip-flops, but I'm not pro flip-flops.
well,
Yeah,
I
I
would
don't
say
love
do
them.
not grill.
They're a little whack.
Don't grill in flip-flops. No.
All right, what about mowing the lawn? What is like the proper way to mow the lawn? Like, do you do it horizontally, vertically? Do you go in a pattern? Like, what's the
So
sufficient?
I've read that you're supposed to mix it up. So if you do diagonal one time, then you do horizontal next time. I don't. I tend to do the same pattern just out of habit, which is kind of on a diagonal because of the way our lawn slopes.
Would you consider making a shape in the grass ever?
I think that would
tutorial
be.
view?
I think that would be very entertaining. I don't know if I could pull it off in a way that it would look anything other than some kind of Rorschach test.
I'm sure there's somebody who does like portraits in lawns. Like,
I'm
there's
sure.
portraits for everything.
I mean, not
Have
to
you seen the Rubik's cubes ones? Those are crazy.
If you have a big enough lawn that you have a riding mower, you should absolutely
Those
create.
are
Oh, yeah.
You should do a pattern. That should be required.
I mean, not to bring
I
it
would
back
want a
too
riding
early,
mower.
but like all of the soccer teams in Europe, like their groundskeepers, like always put patterns in the grass. Like the Leicester City football
Yeah.
team put their crest in the soccer pitch, and like they don't have an easy logo. Like it's a pretty convoluted. It's got like shapes, and it's got like a fox in the middle. So you just gotta hire some of those guys to come to your front lawn, and they'll put whatever you want. Just bam, right there.
That's impressive. Absolutely.
All right, Cam. Do you have any other dad questions? What are some
Any
of the
other
dad?
dad questions?
We've
Let's
already got
see.
a dad fact.
I will not be eating any more jalapenos.
No.
That
But Cameron will.
I will.
That
I gotta
last
take one
one
more. I think I gotta take a bigger bite
being
because some
of
of the bites
love.
this episode have been a little small. So let me see if I can get the viewers at home a good view of this. I'm gonna try and get about half of this pepper down in this bite just to kind of round out the episode. Let's go.
ouch. My last one was
That was,
That was
sexy. Oh
good
my
crunch.
God.
Very
Oh.
good crunch.
See, just won my lung. Okay.
You got a question?
I do. What is
Alright.
what is one thing about cars that you have to know? Like if your car breaks down on the side of the road, like what's like what's one thing you got to know so it's like you can fix it, you can go, or anything car related as a dad, like a good car skill.
How to call for help.
A phone.
No, I guess it's out of experience of having it break down and knowing that, oh, I bet this is the, whatever problem. So, but I don't know. We have bad tire karma in this family. I don't know what it is. We have had so many flat tires, run over nails, etc. So changing the tire, but we've also been very fortunate that whenever that's happened, is like a police officer's right there and pulls over and is like, oh, do you need help? Like, sure, officer. And then they change the tire for you.
You taught me how to jumpstart a car once. That seems like
Oh.
it's useful.
Jump starting,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my one car skill that I can actually do is how to jump a car.
All right, if we're going traditional dad masculinity facts, what about you get 3 tools in your toolkit? What are they?
3 tools.
to fix stuff. An all-purpose toolkit. I feel like this entire episode, you can just hear me and my dad's stomach growl.
Yeah.
My stomach's growling now because it's angry about that last
Angry
bite
about
of
the
jalapeno.
jalapeno.
I took a bigger bite than the previous one. I would say screwdriver.
Okay.
So likely Phillips head. Let's see. Absolute. What do I use the most? I seem to use an Allen wrench a lot these days. There's all kinds of like IKEA type furniture that's always in need of tightening something. So an Allen wrench, but is that really necessary? I don't know. Maybe pliers and hammer. Maybe.
Okay, cool.
Those
That's a
are
good
pretty
comprehensive
basic.
list. Yeah.
I would think those are pretty basic, but
Fairly boring list, but we'll move on.
I mean,
no,
could
I
you
use Allen wrench a
cut that
lot.
down to just one Swiss Army knife and a hammer? Because Swiss Army knives kind of have everything
There you go.
now.
Well,
Swiss Army Knife and a Hammer is a fantastic band.
no, I'll be perfectly honest. The one tool we use the most is an oyster shucker.
Oh, God.
That-
Oh, we use that all the time.
We actually refer to it as the tool
Yeah.
because you can do so many things with it. It functions like a screwdriver.
That's
It
actually a useful fact
Wow.
on the podcast because I feel like not many people know that. Like that is the most effective. tool
That's
you
a
have
dad
in the house.
fact.
That's a dad fact.
So,
Oyster shucker.
oyster shucker. Get yourself a
how
good
very
quality,
kind of you.
very good quality oyster shucker.
Okay, and lastly, what is your number one dad advice? Unconventional. It doesn't have to be conventional. But what's your dad advice? What do people get wrong about being a dad?
What do people get wrong about being a
I
dad?
guess those are two different questions. You can answer whatever questions you want.
So I think dads think they have to be something different than mom. Like they have to be tough or what. I mean, best thing, love your kids and show and
That's a very
show-
wholesome.
so I think it's show your affection, not just
Yeah.
For a lot of dads, showing affection means I do things, I fix things, I drive you places, I give you, you need money. No, I think a hug and telling your kids you love them and
Yay,
and being
that's
affectionate.
sweet. That actually is a good little segue into what's hot for you this week,
Ooh.
because that's one of the characters in one of the things that I wanted to shout out. Because the other week I shouted out Trying on Apple TV, and I don't think I was very convincing about it. I was like, it's not the best, but it's fine. I think it's because I didn't have anything else to talk about. But I started season 2, which has just started, and it is really good. Like, it is way better than season 1.
Oh, nice.
And the dad in that show is like doesn't know how to show affection, so he like fixes. He like retiles their bathroom, and then he like pulls their carpet up, and he's like, "You need more carpeting," and like does stuff around their house. But it's really really good. I think the episode 3 is super sweet. Every episode ends with a Maisie Peters song, which is
Oh,
phenomenal.
fantastic.
And shout out Maisie Peters. She just liked my TikTok.
Oh, my
I've been writing
God.
about for the past 12 hours.
Well, in all fairness, I can't do any of those things. I can't fix anything.
Okay.
So if that was my default
So
for
even
being,
if you had the option,
I wouldn't be able to do it. So
you have to.
I have to show other ways
So
because
you're saying that you wouldn't show me love if you knew how to
that
fix a bathroom
I would say, Casey, can I retile your bathroom for you,
instead of giving me
or
a hug.
let me? You did a great job today at school. Let me fix the carpet in your bedroom.
I'm glad to know that this love is conditional compared to useful around the house abilities. But yeah, so my hot for you this week is
Nice.
Trying, specifically season 2. I think you can skip season 1. I think it's like fine, it's short. Like if you want to binge it, go ahead. But nothing really carries over except for the fact that like they are adopting a kid. Like that's
Mhm.
about it. Like there's nothing else that really carries over. So yeah, Trying season 2, big shout out. That's my hot for you this week.
Very nice.
Cameron, what's your hot for you this week?
So now that it's summer and we got a little bit more free time, getting back into video games. I know it's boring, but I'm finally getting back into it. So I'm playing Star Wars Squadrons right now. I know you should try it if you have PlayStation Plus. It's free right now. I'm total Star Wars nerd, so I love anything, and it probably provides more lore than the last couple of movies did. So it's like kind of nice to get some of the story that's hidden otherwise. So that's what I've been working on this week when I'm not in school or in work. That's what I'm excited to be doing. Hopefully finish the game this week, but not too exciting, but I'm pretty excited for it.
Shout out video games. Shout out Fortnite Season 7.
Yeah, pretty simple.
What's your hot free this week?
Well, it's not this week. Since we're talking soccer, it's Ted Lasso. Absolutely love that show. Season 1 was phenomenal. Next season comes out in July, so I'm just waiting. July needs to hurry up. I need some more Ted Lasso. It's so good. I love that show.
This is a big plug for Apple TV. These are 2 Apple TV shows that we've shouted out, and I feel like not many people have Apple TV.
Well, we wouldn't have it if you didn't
If I
need
get
a
my
phone.
yeah. Buy an Apple product, get Apple TV. I'm like actually mad that Apple TV has really good shows because it's like I don't want to have Apple TV past this year, but they have some good stuff.
some good
The M.
stuff
Night
now.
shows on there. They have the rights to Peanuts somehow. So
Oh, really?
If
Wow.
Ted Lasso continues to be good, I will stick with Apple TV.
hopefully
Plus.
they start putting stuff on like Hulu because they do that. So they've switched streaming services sometimes every now and then.
Well, if DiGiorno doesn't sponsor us, Apple TV, we will also accept such
DiGiorno,
sponsors.
Apple
So
TV. Yeah, we'll get them both.
we'll get them both. We'll get them both
I feel
eventually.
like what's his name? Who's the guy that runs Apple right now?
Todd. No, not Todd. What's his name?
Todd-
Todd. Birmingham.
Billingsley.
That sounds right.
This is a good
Tim
way to
Cook,
get
right? No, not
sponsorship
Tim Cook.
I think the CEO is
Tim Cook. It's Tim
Is
Cook.
it Tim Cook? Was he not?
Or is it not Tim Cook
I don't know.
anymore?
I have no idea. Tim
You're
Cook, if
definitely
you're
getting
listening to this
sponsorship with this
podcast,
type
please
of
sponsor us
quality
with
analysis.
Apple TV.
Yeah, Tim Cook could sponsor us.
Yeah.
We'll get to Giorno
Can
first.
can
then we'll get
Jason
Apple TV.
Sudeikis sponsor us? Can he?
I hope so.
join us?
He probably has a podcast.
I'm
Everyone
sure.
has podcasts.
Everyone has a podcast these days. Yeah, yeah.
He's not on Smart List. He feels like he should be though. All right.
Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Happy Father's Day.
Well, I first have to say thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yay! This has been
Thank
fun.
you for joining. It's been a pleasure.